bamboo through the booty hole, boiling alive, oil poop barrels. Those are just some of the worst punishments in human history. Let's check out all of them.
Yakuza finger removal, also known as yubitsum. It's a ritual done to gain forgiveness after a member committed an offense to someone else in his group, and it consists of amputating portions of one's own little finger to show sincere apology and remorse to the other. I've put this one as the least painful because it doesn't usually cause lifelong lasting pain, and it isn't deadly, unlike the brutal ones further down the list. Bastinado. Bastinado consists of beating the victim with a light rod, knotted cord.
Hang on a minute, this don't sound that bad. They should add a Twizzler into the mix. Me and my brothers growing up used to have Twizzler fights where we would whip each other with Twizzlers. Oh my God, that hurts so bad.
Exclusively on the feet. Unlike most types of flogging, it is meant more to be painful than to cause actual injury. Even though if done too harshly or for too long, it might cause the victim to not be able to walk anymore. This one is also not deadly. Pitch capping. Pitch capping involves pouring hot pitch or tar into a conical paper cap and forcing it onto the victim's head. The pitch was allowed to cool and the cap was ripped off.
Oh man, that just like gave me the chills just thinking. I was enjoying this video. I'm not enjoying this video anymore. That's the worst one. It's not even close, dude. Do you die? Does it like rip it off to the skull? How much rippage are we talking here?
Scarring him for life. It wasn't usually done with the intention of killing, but deadly infections after this weren't that uncommon. Elephant's foot.
That makes sense.
This punishment, also known as gungarao, was mostly used in Asia, specifically India, and it consisted of killing the victim by crushing him with an elephant. There were two variations of this. If the victim was lucky, his head would be placed on a pedestal and the elephant would crush it, instantly killing
that sounds
him.
good.
This wasn't that painful because the victim would die instantly, but the second variation wasn't as forgiving. Some royal members wanted to sit down and enjoy a long show, so they ordered the elephant riders to train the elephants to walk over non-vital parts first, such as the legs and arms. The person would get crushed over and over before the elephant actually walked over his head and killed him.
I kind of feel bad for the elephant because elephants are really smart and they probably don't want to do that, but because they're captive, if they don't do it, they're gonna get punished. So like, I think elephants generally are pretty nice. They probably don't want to be killing people. I also obviously feel bad for the people too. That sucks. Probably say that too. Next, we have the penalties.
In ancient Rome, those who would kill their own father were subjected to penalties. It was a death penalty.
I don't know what penalties is, but I agree with whatever it is because you should never kill your father. That's insane.
Consisted of being sewn up in a leather sack with a mix of live animals, including a dog, snake, monkey, and a chicken, and then being thrown into water.
But like, what if your father, you know, was a bad guy? Like, what if he maybe touched you or something? I'm just saying, like, then do you then deserve pina colada? I'm gonna say no, because that's pretty bad. The thing too is like, I'm making jokes about this stuff. It's not funny. It's really not funny.
When military units or a large group were guilty of capital offenses, such as cowardice, mutiny, or desertion, they went through the process of decimation. A cohort of roughly 480 soldiers that needed to be punished was divided into groups of 10, and each group drew lots randomly. The soldier who picked the shortest straw had to be killed by his 9 friends, often by stoning, clubbing, or stabbing, while the 9 surviving ones had to stay outside the fortified security of the camp for some time. Since the killed victim was chosen randomly, all soldiers in the group were potentially liable for execution, regardless of how guilty they were.
Oh, dude. See, that's one of those things that I was kind of just saying, like, we don't actually know if that's really what happened. That is more recent than some of the, whatever. This is awful.
Blowing from a gun is a method of execution in which the victim is typically tied to the mouth of a cannon, which is then fired, resulting in instant death.
This is one I think a child came up with, because that's an idea that I would have had if I was like 7 years old, but I would also want to see that if I was today old too.
Emperor Basil II reportedly captured 15,000 Bulgarians during the Battle of Clyden, so he decided to use them as a message to their homeland. He divided the prisoners into groups of 100, and then he had 99 out of every 100 blinded, with the 100th man being blinded in only one eye, so that he could still lead the other 99 back home. Bulgarian Tsar Samuel died of a heart attack on October 6, 1014, reportedly due to seeing his soldiers blinded.
Dude, what's so crazy is like, we're all people at the end of the day. And yeah, I understand those people came in and probably tried to siege the Byzantine Empire, and I understand like as the Byzantine emperor, why you would want to punish them and send a message and send them back to where they came from. I get it. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but I understand the thought process of like, these guys are intruders trying to take my family, trying to take my kingdom, and I don't want that to happen, so I'm going to punish them and send them back to where they came from to send a message. I get it. I understand. Anyway, that was a silly rant. Next up, though, we have one that I was really looking forward to, which is the castor oil poop barrels. I don't know what this is exactly, but it's sounding like something that I would totally punish my enemies with.
Making someone drink a lot of castor oil caused stomach pain and made them so sick that they could no longer hold their poop together. They would then put the person in a big human-sized barrel and remove them when the person confessed. This could even go as far as leaving the person to drown in their own body fluids inside the barrel.
Wait, what? How long or how much do these people poop? Yo, that is insane. True story, I did clog my toilet this morning. Well, I don't want to go into detail, actually.
Disgusting!
Next up, we have the rack.
Person would be forced to lay on a rectangle-shaped wooden rack that stretched the victim's body by pulling the arms and legs in opposite directions. It caused incredible pain and could lead to dislocated limbs and torn ligaments. It was mainly used as a method to get information, but it could also be used to tear the victim's limbs out and leave him bleeding to death.
That one I think is not that. Okay, it's bad. I was gonna say it's not that bad. That's pretty bad. But I'm gonna be honest, dude. If I was strapped down, if they had me tied up in any sort of way and they were asking me questions, I'm just gonna tell them. I'll be honest. I'm just gonna tell them. Like, I'm not doing that. I don't care what it is. I'm yapping away. I'm gonna tell them everything I know about them. Next up, we have tarring and feathering. This one I've learned about in school, actually. I think that this was like an English and like American thing that was going on. Let's see.
Is a form of public torture where a victim is stripped naked or stripped to the waist, while wood tar, sometimes hot, is either poured or painted onto the person. After that, the victim would have feathers thrown onto him, or he was rolled around on a pile of feathers so that they stuck to the tar. This would not only cause extreme burns to the victim's skin, permanently scarring him, but also psychologically humiliate him in public, as he was meant to look like a giant chicken walking around the street.
Yeah, that was pretty common back in I'm not sure what the era is called. When like, you know, like when like America was becoming America, like that time.
It was a metal tool that was put into someone's mouth or booty hole and then made bigger on purpose.
Okay, who came up with this one, bro? Ew, what am I looking at? I'm just gonna assume that's a mouth. I don't even want to think about anything else. Oh, I'm gonna throw up.
The tool would stretch the tissue to the point of no return.
I'm gonna throw up. I gotta move on. Aztecs, live heart removal.
Aztecs sacrificed people to Huitzilopochtli, the sun god. The victim would be placed on a sacrificial stone, and the priest would then cut through the abdomen with an obsidian or flint blade. The heart would be torn out, still beating, and held towards the sky in honor of the sun god.
Yeah, I mean, that's just insane. Like, at that point, that's a cult. I'm sorry, that's a cult. If your religion is saying you have to cut someone's heart, like, chest open, rip out the heart, and show it to the sun, like, bro, what? What are we talking about?
It's a collar with 2 sets of metal forks at each end. One set was placed under the chin and the other at the sternum, and the device was secured around the neck. This forced the victim to keep their head raised, leading to severe discomfort and sleep deprivation. The person would be asked questions or just be left there, while the fork slowly pierced through their neck and jaw.
God.
And this lasted until the victim could no longer hold their head raised, causing the fork to pierce through.
Oh, wait, do they die? Or like, oh my God. Nah, dude, that's just, oh God, that's so bad. Oh, that's really bad.
The Roman Emperor Nero involved tying a cup filled with hungry rats to the victim's stomach and then applying heat to the bottom, forcing the rats to burrow through the victim's body to escape. In some parts of South America, they used a variation of this method called the rectoscope, which consisted of inserting living rats into a victim's rectum through a tube, forcing them to make their way through the victim's body to get out.
Oh my God. That's so messed up, man. Imagine dying that way. Oh God, I can't. God, I'm gonna like throw up, dude. I can't. I gotta move on. What is Catherine's wheel? Get me off of that one. I can't.
An execution method where the victim's limbs were tied to a large wheel and then struck with a hammer or iron bar, breaking their bones in multiple places. The wheel was placed on display later on, often leaving the victim to starve.
That one's, give me that one all day over the rat in my anus. Thank you very much.
The victim would be lowered into a large container with a boiling liquid, such as oil, gradually and slowly. The first exposed parts would be the extremities, such as fingers and toes, which have lots of nerve endings and cause incredible pain. Then the skin, muscles, and fat softened and liquefied due to the heat, while internal organs and the flesh got boiled from the outside, making this a slow and agonizing process. In another variation, which is thought to be even more painful and long, the victim would be lowered into a normal temperature liquid, which would be gradually heated.
Dude, people are crazy, man. I almost don't even want to associate my existence with these people's existence. I couldn't even ever imagine imagine sentencing someone to that. Today, like, at least in America, we have, like, executions if you're put on death row. Like, if you murder 20 people, then you get sentenced to death or whatever. But I believe the way that we do it today is, like, way more humane. Next up, we have keel holing. I think I've heard of this one too.
Was a severe maritime punishment where a sailor was tied to a rope and dragged underwater from one side of the ship to the other, passing under the ship's keel. If the person did not drown or get vital damage from the rusty and sharp wooden body of the ship itself, they would just do it again until the person was no longer alive. It was feared for its brutality.
Yeah, I mean, that's just the worst. Is it the worst? Yeah, I'd say that's gotta be top 3. Not sure what my top 3 is anymore, but that's gotta be top 3.
As an execution method, the victim would be hanged upside down to make the blood flow to the head, increasing the time the person was conscious. The executioner would then divide the victim vertically into 2 halves, starting from the groin and moving upwards.
Oh, yeah, I don't even want to think about it. We're gonna move on. Oh my God.
This method wasn't always deadly, but in my opinion, it deserves this spot because of how brutally painful it sounds. It's the method of inserting a glass rod into a man's erect willy.
I don't even know what to say to that, all right? And now there's a hammer on my screen. No, don't hammer it in. That's painful enough.
Smashing it with a hammer, causing the glass rod to fragment.
I can't watch that. For all my fellas out there watching, which I believe is like 99% of people, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry that we're gonna have to go through this together, but I'm gonna press play now, and I would like to apologize.
Into multiple small pieces that shattered all over the insides. Bamboo through booty hole.
Oh my God, man, it's not getting any better. Dude, don't tell me they start putting like little quarters and nickels in the end of the bamboo and it just funnels on in there. Then they could do like a piñata with them after.
A bamboo would be put inside a person's booty hole and it would be left there. The bamboo would grow really quickly inside the man, causing incredible pain.
That's true. I'm pretty sure bamboo, like certain types of bamboo can grow like a foot a day. It might even be more. Some species of bamboo grow 35 to 36 inches in a day. That's 3 feet. For everyone who doesn't use the metric system, it's this.
Was sometimes left until it exited from the other side. Spanish donkey. This was a sharp-angled wooden device on which the victim was forced to sit, straddling it like a donkey, with weights attached to their feet. This would increase pressure and pain on the body, often causing severe injury to the legs and spine until the victim was ripped apart by their body weight.
I feel like that one, like once it starts ripping, it's not gonna stop. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like once you get like the initial like rip of your booty crack or whatever's going on, you're just gonna like, just like fall like a sack of potatoes and you're just gonna just split open.
A real-sized bull was used to lock someone inside and then heat it up with fire underneath. The person inside would feel extreme heat and pain while being burned alive, and it was meant to scare others by showing how bad the punishment could be. There were special pipes to make the victim breathe, which also made the screams hearable for the crowd, resulting in a bull-like sound. The steam would leave from the bull's nose for extra realism.
Yeah, the brazen bull's terrible, and I think that was used for like a very long time across many different cultures. Next up, we have impalement. That is a really scary image.
The brutal part of impaling, like crucifixion, is that the victim tortured himself. In a famous variant, he was set up high on a stake so that it didn't actually penetrate anything vital so long as he stayed up on his toes, so he could keep it from going any deeper so long as he kept his own weight on his feet. When the victim would get tired, he would slip a little further, and when he felt the pain, he would scramble up again on the already aching and exhausted muscles, only to repeat this process out of exhaustion a little later, and so on until something vital got pierced. Another variant consisted of the Judas chair.
What is up with all these people and sticking things in your butt? Has anyone else noticed like that pattern here? I feel like more than half of these, it's like, I'm gonna stick this in your butt until you die. Let's see how far this can go into your anus until you stop breathing. That's so crazy, man.
It's featuring a pyramid-shaped
like,
seat.
Look at this, dude. What are we talking about?
With ropes used to lower and suspend their body weight.
These guys are all freaky.
The chair would slowly rip the person apart.
Oh my God.
Flaying was a gruesome method where the skin was removed from the body while the victim was still alive.
Okay, I just don't even know like if I could choose any of these, like what's worse, getting a stick in your booty and it just, or getting your skin ripped? Like, God, man. Why am I watching this? This is so silly. Why am I watching this?
This extreme form of torture was used to cause intense, slow pain and suffering, eventually leading to death through shock or infection. The skin, lacking major blood vessels, did not cause rapid blood loss, so victims could remain conscious and endure prolonged agony. It was often considered a meticulous process, requiring precision and skill from the executioner. And rather than removing the skin in pieces, cultures sought methods to flay the victim more efficiently and completely, sometimes using substances like boiling water to facilitate the process. Blood eagle. This one was a brutal ritual where the victim's ribs were cut from the spine and spread out to resemble wings, while the lungs were pulled through the openings, causing a slow, agonizing death. It's short, but it's one of the most brutal ones, in my opinion.
I'm pretty sure, too, like back then, they had to do tests on people to find what the worst thing was. Because, for example, that blood eagle thing, he said it didn't last that long, but I'm sure it lasted like a couple minutes. And that's long enough to be like really torturous and agonizing. All right, next up we have Ling Chi.
Also known as death by 1,000 cuts, it was a famous method used in China to prolong the suffering for as long as possible.
Do you see what I'm saying? That's literally exactly what I'm saying. This is the ultimate thing that I just said is Ling Chi.
For multiple variations of this method, even though almost all of them included cutting the skin deep enough to cause incredible pain, but not deep enough to allow the victim to lose blood. In one variation, the victim was restrained, and an executioner would pull knives out at random, each with a body part on it. Left forearm, right thigh, left foot, neck, etc. Each time he'd pull a knife out, he would make a cut on that body part. This would continue until the executioner pulled out the knife with the heart on it, and that's when he stabbed the victim through the heart. In another variation, they would tie a fishnet tightly around someone's body and cut off the pieces of skin that popped up in the holes of the net. In the most brutal version, they would bury someone up to their neck, make a cross-shaped cut at the crown of the head, peel the skin back, and pour mercury in the wound. The mercury, through its weight, would separate skin from flesh, and as the person struggled to unbury themselves, they would eventually leave their skin behind.
I'm like ashamed to be a human at this point, like knowing that our ancestor did this sort of stuff. And I'm sure there's places around the world that this stuff still happens. I believe it. How can humanity be so cruel? Like no other animal does stuff like that, by the way, at least that I know of. Like sure, they attack and kill and eat each other, but like they don't torture each other like this. That's insane. Like humans are actually crazy. But this is the last one. It's called Scaphism. I don't even want to press play. I need a minute. All right, here we go.
This one is considered by many to be the worst execution method. In this punishment, the condemned person was placed inside a boat or between two boats, lying on their back with their arms and legs protruding through holes. They were force-fed large amounts of milk and honey, which induced severe diarrhea, and their entire body was smeared with the same mixture. This made them attractive to rodents, bugs, wasps, bees, flies, and whatever other animals lived near the lake. They would eat and bite at the victim's flesh, and when the next morning arrived, the boat would be brought back to the coast, and they would force-feed him another gigantic meal of milk and honey, also placing it on him once more. This was done on a daily basis to prolong the punishment for as long as possible. It was reported that the rats would usually try to go into the person's booty hole, and that the method was so long that it seemed to have no end, with a person surviving 17 days. This person reportedly had his entire face completely covered with wasp, and his flesh was rotting away, filled with swarms of parasites and worms, all while being covered in his own filth. Oh my god, dude.
Wow, that made me sick. I don't like it. I'd rather watch analog horror or like any of the other weird stuff that we watch here on the React channel. But boys, if you enjoyed that and you do want to watch some other fun videos, make sure to leave a like, hit that subscribe button, and click right here.